Well, another Friday is upon us, and here you are at badmovieguy.com looking for something to watch this weekend. And you've got a lot more time on your hands than I do, and frankly, I got a ton of time on my hands. But I do have a great movie this week, a classic in fact. In honor of the remake hitting theaters today, I thought we'd take a look at the original, The Last House on the Left. Now, in case you haven't been alive since 1972, let me catch you up before you head out to the theater. It all begins with young Mary, who's turning 17, and she's pretty anxious to go to the big city to see a rock and roll show. She's taking her friend Phyllis to see the hot new group Bloodlust. So, after Dad gives her a gift of a lovely little peace sign necklace, Mary and Phyllis are off. When they get to the city after getting a little ice cream, they decided the show might be better if they had a little pot. So they find a scruffy-looking dude on a stoop and ask him, and he quickly leads them up to his rundown apartment, which even in 1972 seems like it might have been a bad idea. Well, not only don't Mary and Phyllis get their drugs, what they find besides Junior, who led them to the place, are Sadie, a sadistic broad, Weasel, a pervert who loves little kids and his jackknife, and their leader, Krug. And with Weasel and Krug having just escaped prison, they have very little to lose, and they're in the mood for some fun. And I don't mean Parcheesi and Monopoly, people. So after raping both girls, they stuff them in the trunk of their car and get out of town. But in a very weird turn of events, the car breaks down right in front of Mary's parents' house. But with the house sitting so far off the road in the woods, there's very little chance that they'll see the girls are being taken out of the trunk. Now things begin to take a decidedly darker turn, if that's imaginable. The girls are led into the woods where they're made to degrade themselves for the crook's amusement. And when Phyllis attempts to escape, Weasel and Sadie take chase, catch her, and of course knife her, leaving her for dead in the woods. Then the crew turn their sights on Mary. Krug first carves his name into her chest, then he rapes her. And when Mary thinks it's all over and walks out into the water to clean herself, she's shot in the head for her trouble. Well, now that the fun's over, the crew cleans up and heads for the nearest house where they can get a little help for their broken down car. And that house just happens to belong to Mary's parents. Well, I think you can figure out that it's not long before the parents, who've been calling the police constantly looking for their missing daughter, overhear the evil quartet talking about the girls they killed, and putting two and two together, head down to the lake where they find the body of their daughter. Now heading back to the house, Mom and Dad set up a couple of little traps of their own to get even with this evil group for what they've done. The Last House on the Left is classic 70s horror. There's no psycho in a mask, there's no unspeaking monster, there's no wondering why these people are doing these evil things. They're psychos, and that's what psychos do. Fabulously written and directed by Wes Craven, The Last House on the Left is, in my mind, the quintessential 70s exploitation movie. While there's nothing terribly graphic shown on camera, we all know what's going on, and none of it is good. The cast is all great, but the standout here has to be David Hess as Krug. If there was a better actor that played an evil psycho in the 70s, I'd like to see him. Hess played the bad guy in so many movies, I think I'd still be a little bit nervous if I was left alone in a room with him. He's the dark heart and soul of Last House on the Left, as much as Sandra Cassell's Mary is the goodness of the movie. And in the end, when the bad guys begin getting theirs, it's just as dark and hardcore as anything they can do today. Even if it's not a torture porn movie and doesn't dwell on the chainsaw grinding through meat, it's still a very intense movie that holds up pretty well after all these years. I'm giving Last House on the Left 4 out of 4 cigars because it's just as good today as it was when I first saw it all those years ago. So before you head down to the theater to check out the remake, take an hour and a half and check out the original. I can't imagine it being topped. So until next time, when I'll be sitting here...
To avoid fainting, keep repeating to yourself, it's only a movie. Only a movie. Only a movie. Only a movie.
Remember, you can always find something a little bit different to watch here at badmovieguy.com. Or you can find a cool indie movie to check out over at roguecinema.com, where I contribute. And you can also find anything to do with horror over at fearzone.com, where, you guessed it, I also contribute. But the most important thing to remember here is that the best movies are bad movies.